What's going on, guys, and welcome to April's episode of Game of the Month, the show where we pick a game at random every month, and at the end of the month we talk about it. My name's Seth, and joining me today is Sarah on my left and on your right, and Chevy up in the box again. And yeah, we're going to have a good conversation about Godfall, I hope, which was our game of the month for April. Sarah picked that. We'll ask her about that in a sec. But before we talk about Godfall, we have to pick a brand new game of the month for May, and that'll be randomly picked. So we are going to move over to our random number generator. We have 21 games on our list right now. In case you don't know how this works, we have a back burner list. 21 games are on that list. We have the random number generator right here, which is going to give us a number between 1 and 21. Chevy has the list, and he is going to tell me what game coincides with the number that we pick. So let's get this going. This is random.org. I hate using this website, but it's got true randomness, so I guess that's a good thing. So I'm going to click this button a couple times, and then we'll figure out what our game of the month for May is. In 3, 2, 1, and go. I'm clicking generate, and I'm going to stop clicking in 3, 2, 1, and now.
No peeking.
8.
We will be playing Oxygen Not Included.
Oh, dang.
All right. All right. Well, in May, we will be playing Oxygen Not Included. What do we think about this, Sarah?
I'm a Oxygen Not Included fan. And there has been an update, not that recently, but an update since the last time I've played a lot. So I'm
like a substantial update?
Yeah.
Or just like a couple? Okay.
Yeah, like a substantial update.
Interesting.
Yeah, so I think that'll be interesting. It's a game I'm excited for you guys to play and us to talk about.
Sick. For anybody who doesn't know what it is, could you give a quick explanation?
Sure. It's kind of like a survival game, I guess. It's like kind of like a sim, so you basically get thrown into this scenario where you have these duplicates and you kind of are micromanaging this like growing society, and you're doing a bunch of research, and there you have to like feed everybody, and you have to get oxygen, and you have to do all these things, and I don't know if that's a good explanation.
Keep them alive. Yeah. And it is a cartoony looking game from a 2D perspective from the side.
Yeah, it's by Clay Animation, or the Clay whatever. They did Don't Starve Together stuff, so it's got like a real similar art style to that.
I think they also did that card game I mentioned in the last Plus Club, Griftlands. I'm pretty sure they did the art for that as well. I think so.
Yeah. They did that, a game called Hot Lava and Crypt of the Necro Dancer.
Oh, yeah, they did that as well. So a lot of indie games. I'm sure people watching this know what that game is, but I want to make sure anybody listening or maybe somebody out of the loop might know what we're getting into.
Like me.
Yeah, exactly. So Chevy, you just found out a little bit about that. What are you thinking?
I mean, I don't really know much about it, so I'm gonna just kind of go into it and see if I enjoy it or not. I typically like survival games, so
yeah, I think you might like this. So, although just so anybody knows, because everybody knows we like multiplayer games around here, this is a single player game, so we will be doing this on our lonesome, but discussing it at the end of May. I am definitely interested. This is one I've been waiting to get pulled for a while, just because I played this a little bit on your suggestion a while back, and I barely got into it. I didn't even learn pretty much the basics of it. I mean, I got the concept when I was playing it, but I didn't at the time have time to invest into it, so I didn't. So it'll be cool to come back to it and give it an honest shot out of my obligation to the channel, but also out of, this is a game that's not been like, a priority of mine, and now it will be, so I'll get to play it. So I'm excited to finally try it out fully. So I love survival games, so I'm sure I will dig it, unless it has some stuff that was in Don't Starve that I wasn't a big fan of. But yeah, let's hope it's Don't Starve's pretty cool too though, but it just has some stuff about it I'm not a big fan of.
I never played Don't Starve, which is interesting because I've played a lot of Oxygen Not Included.
Yeah,
I just never.
it's neat, but yeah, it's got some things. Yeah, so we will be playing Oxygen Not Included in May, so stay tuned for that, and we'll talk about the end of May. All right, so let's jump into the game we actually played in April. Real quick before that, though, we did a Plus Club. We talked about Slay the Spire, Hood, Outlaws, and Legends, and the last time I'm ever going to fucking say this title's name, SpongeBob, SquarePants, Battle Fort, Bikini Bottom, Rehydrated. If you're curious about our thoughts on that, check out that episode. And thank you, everybody who joined the conversation over on Reddit. We had a great conversation over there, and we're on our way towards, I think, like 500 views on Plus Club. So I appreciate everybody who watched that episode. And again, if you didn't watch it, go check it out. Yeah, so in April, we played Godfall. Now, I want to clear this up real fast. We played Godfall back in December via PlayStation Plus for Plus Club. That was the Challenger Edition, and though I believe that is the version Chevy played, me and Sarah will be reviewing Godfall as the whole entire game. If you didn't get a chance to play Godfall, actually, one second, I'm kind of all over the place. You picked Godfall. This was your pick for the game of the month. Every 3 months, we all get to pick our own picks. I already picked Icarus in January. You picked Godfall. Do you want to let people know maybe a little bit of thoughts or insight on why you picked Godfall for April?
Yeah. So I picked Godfall because it's a game that I have been playing basically since launch, but in April, I believe on the 7th of April, they released a big update, kind of something that they, self-dubbed a love letter to their fans. So a lot of things that people have been asking for. It's I think their biggest update since they launched the game. So
yeah,
I wanted to try all that new stuff out.
Which is a great time to do it because the update just came out and it definitely did take it in a step into the direction that would make it feel more towards the complete package I think people wanted from it. We will talk about that in a moment, though. Yeah, so if you didn't get a chance to play Godfall, Godfall is a up to 3 player, but now also up to how many in the?
I think it's 8.
Yeah, now up to 8 player in one mode, cooperative melee combat loot game, third person where you run around different maps, progressing through a campaign, going through a story, collecting loot, leveling up, picking perks for your character, and then inevitably going to an end game, which involves going up a roguelike style tower, doing something called Dreamstones for resources, which are essentially just quick missions with an end boss. And then there's also what's the dark one? Lightbringer, which is a whole new mode that has new to the older content mode that has cursed weapons and gear that you can acquire from it. And then the new mode, which is called, do you remember?
It's a Spirit Realm.
Spirit Realm, yeah. Spirit Realm.
There's like a other name for it or something.
It's Spirit Realm. Where you can play with more people than you've been able to before, in which you're on a large map, 1 of 4, and you're able to run around to essentially different points on the map, complete specific objectives to that point, bring something that point drops off to the original point, and continue, rinse and repeat until you build up a boss that you can overcharge and then fight for rewards. And you can continue to do this, I think, about 3 times, or opt out after you've completed one boss. And after the newest patch, it has received new shards per Valor Plate, which is the characters, 4 shards per Valor Plate, which create much more definitive characteristics and abilities for each Valor Plate to feel individual. There's been a rework to some of the weapons timing attacks. There has been a lot of small reworks, even to the point where certain enemies that are fire-based, water-based, or whatever-based, when they spawn, actually have an effect that comes out of them that looks like water or fire, so you know what you're getting into before you fight them. They added more dialogue to the campaign to make it feel more enriched. They've added NPCs to the world to make it feel like there's actually people around. And yeah, they've done a lot of fine tuning. Also, you can upgrade your shards 5 times, I believe. So they've added,
just like all the other gear.
They've added quite a bit of stuff here.
Also, I feel like I should mention that I think, reworked the entire campaign. They didn't just add little tidbits. I think they've kind of reformulated like how you go through the story and kind of merge some of the side missions with the main missions.
I did not experience this, so I cannot confirm that from where I'm coming from. And yeah, an Exalted tower they added as well. So it's a more intense version of the Ascended Tower, which was a much more intense version of the tower in general. So more stuff to do at endgame. This game is essentially endgame. That's why when the Challenger Edition came out, it's like that's the game, guys. Like, you could play the campaign, but you're gonna go right through and be done with it. Yeah. So essentially, kill things, level up, a lot of leveling up, loot, and character and class building. We all played it, and so I thought back in December when we originally reviewed this for Plus Club, I thought you were on that episode for some reason, but I checked recently, you were not. So how about we start with you on your impressions of Godfall, just because you weren't part of the conversation on that episode.
Sure. So I guess originally Godfall was a game that I was actually pretty hyped for before it was released. I played it then and was a little bit underwhelmed by it. And so, as they've been releasing more content, I've continued to play the game off and on. I feel like it's a game, that gets a lot of criticism, and as much as I love Godfall in a lot of ways, I would be lying if I said that I didn't see where some of that criticism was coming from. But as far as the new update, I was really impressed with a lot of things that they've done. One complaint I've heard a lot is that the Valor plates all feel the same. And so that's one reason they released all the shards for it. So, one complaint I have about that is that, so I play Typhon as my main, she's like a chill-based class, and one ability that her Valor plate has always had is that you apply chill when you use your shield, and it's something that I never really focused on because I don't usually build around a shield. And so when they released the shards, a lot of her shards are shield-based. So, while I think that the shards do give each Valor plate a little bit more of their own identity, and in most cases, you can kind of work around it. I was a little bit disappointed that I'm forced now to play with a shield on the Valor plate that I main. So that was a little bit disappointing, though I've found a build that works for myself. And on the other hand, it's also prompted me to maybe mix up my build and try something new where I've always kind of done the same thing.
It is interesting to have played as much as we have played.
Yeah.
I'm nearing level 300. You're I think 13 or 12 levels behind me now at this point. After this update, some of the Valor plates feel a little more predetermined now on what they would like that Valor plate to be. I see it more as a bonus. Like, you continue to play your character the way you have, but if you really want to fully unlock its full potential, you might want to start leaning into the perks they've given you because they are very powerful. Also, I've noticed with other Valor plates, though, they give you some options. So I've dealt with a couple Valor plates that seem like two of the perks want me to lean into this kind of gameplay, and another two of the perks want me to lean into this kind of gameplay. So it is definitely a to each their own per Valor plate situation, but I think it is interesting that some of them really leaned into specific things. Like, for instance, Aegis Horn is obviously, or was obviously, meant to be a more tanky dude. You could build him that way, but you could also build a lot of people that way before this update. After the update, they really leaned into that he blocks, parries, and builds overhealth based off defense. And so you can actually really lean into a tank, but if you don't want to be a tank with him, I don't know why you're playing him, but if you don't want to be a tank with him, maybe you built him differently before the patch, you better start learning how to use shields, because that's how they've determined him to be. Whereas Hinterclaw, who I play, is crit based, and pretty much everything he has is crit based, but he has a couple that are just like extra damage, so it works out for many builds. So anyway,
They also nerfed the overhealth retention, so
yeah.
It makes a Valor plate like Aegis Horn, who leans more into defense and building overhealth in different ways, kind of makes him better at it than the other Valor plates might be now. There's good and bad, and in most cases, like Typhon, I found a build that is kind of modified of what I normally do, but is still something that I enjoy and still pretty much what I was doing before. It's just kind of, I had to change it up a little bit. Whereas a build like Mobius, which is another Valor plate I played a lot, I just don't want to play her anymore, So it's definitely got its pluses and minuses. I do overall think that the shards were just a good addition, because it adds depth to the character building and the gameplay. And like I said, it makes you kind of, like, for me, push me out of my comfort zone with what I was doing. And on top of the fact that they've made skill tree changes, I think is really nice. They've nerfed the overhealth, and they nerfed how much damage ailments do, which were two things that were pretty overpowered kind of in late game, and they've kind of rebalanced the way the Valor plates are built. So I think overall just positive changes. As far as the shards, though, again, could be disappointing in some ways.
Speaking of changes, just real quick, two things I didn't say that I think are some of the biggest changes in the game, and they're the least exciting. They added a way to filter through items better than before, which is huge because you accrue a lot of loot in this game, and to navigate it is ridiculous, especially because there is a lag on PS5 when you're going through your items after you have too many items. I think it might be all the little notifications on the items that are lagging it out. I'm not sure. But the filter does help with that immensely. And then also, what was the other one I was going to say? There's another huge... Loadouts, thank you. Yes, they added loadouts, so you can have different builds on the fly. You can change, but also this is also huge. Every single Valor plate's skill points you spend on them are individual to the Valor plate now. Before, your skill points, however you had them spent, whatever Valor plate you picked, they would have the same skill point layout, and you would have to switch that around per Valor plate if you want to play that. Now it just stays like that per Valor plate. So quality of life stuff, but really huge if you play the game a lot.
Yeah. So, and besides just having, their own skill trees, there's also 3 loadouts for that. So you can have, when you swap to new Valor plate, you got a fresh skill points to spend, and then you can make 3 different builds, whatever you want. Yeah,
like a shield-based Aegis Horn, a rampaging Aegis Horn, or a polarity-based Aegis Horn, yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
It's just funny how, like, something that small, small, like a quality of life thing, I'm just like, great, that's amazing. Like, why wasn't that there before? But I'm glad it's here now.
And the item filtering is
It makes it really easy to find certain things. I still
Yeah.
really, the biggest thing they need to fix in the next whatever update they do, get rid of the fucking lag. You guys have to fucking get rid of that lag when you're navigating through items, because it is atrocious. It shouldn't take that long to go through shit. Anyway.
Yeah, my screen lag wasn't as bad as some of the lag I've seen you have, though definitely there. So I'm not sure what that's about, but
It's got to be a PS5 issue. We're both running PS5, so
yeah.
Josh experiences it.
So, but yeah, I think the loadouts are pretty massive, especially now because with the way that upgrading shards works, you basically have to, or you don't have to. It incentivizes you to play different Valor plates too, because at some point you get locked out of upgrading your shards if you haven't unlocked enough shards just across all of the Valor plates. So they've given you a reason to play the different Valor plates. One thing that I really appreciated about this update is the addition of more cosmetics. Some cosmetic slots were just completely unused before. Like there's slots for weapon cosmetics that there wasn't anything there. And so I'm like, why even have this option?
To be continued. It's coming.
So now there's 4 cosmetics for each weapon type, which is great. There's cosmetics for shields, more cosmetics for banners.
Added effects to certain cosmetics that already existed in the game, like fire.
Yes.
There's an armor set you can get for every single Valor plate that's red, and now they've added a flame effect to that armor.
Yep. Yeah, the new game mode, the Spirit Realm mode, I felt was a little bit underwhelming.
I think it's the most disappointing thing of this whole fucking update.
Yeah, and when you have it alongside all of the other game modes, I think that it's fine. But to kind of have it as like a showcase of like, hey, we made this new game mode, it's a little bit disappointing.
Especially because it feels purposeless. Like we talked about this before, but I still just want to run tower because I like the challenge of it. And I like the loot that you get from it. Dreamstones are essential because they are for harvesting resources. I forgot the name of the dark one again. Lightbringer gives you cursed weapons. So if you're looking for cursed weapons, that's where they're at. So they got very specific things going on. Whereas this feels, and there's like, I guess, specific things to it, but I don't know. The mode doesn't feel that. It literally just feels like, hey, you can play with more than 2 other people. And like that's why it exists. And I appreciate that. But when I did play with a full group of people, you, me, and a bunch of randos, it was just people just running different directions doing stuff. And I feel like the mode could be more interesting, or at least the rewards should be a big incentive to make me want to play that. Because anytime we're working on objectives to upgrade our shards, and we have to go do a mission in the Spirit Realm, I'm always like, okay, let's go knock it out. So, yeah, that's my thoughts.
Yeah. The Dreamstones, like you said, are nice because it's for farming, but there's also just even like a little bit of strategy involved in like leveling up your Dreamstone and balancing,
increasing the resources you gather from it. Rewards.
Yeah, exactly. And you have to balance basically like the stability of the Dreamstone, which lets you keep going, versus like getting better rewards. So, there's a little bit of thought and strategy that goes into it, even though when you're actually in there, you're just like running straight to objectives. And then Lightbringer, I think I really like Lightbringer. So maybe that's just me.
It's a fun mode, yeah.
Tower of Trials is a good, not Tower of Trials, Ascended Tower of Trials. And then, and now the new one, it's nice challenging mode, and Spirit Realm just feels, like you said, a little bit pointless and just like a time sink is what it feels like, because it takes so long to get to the point where you've like overcharged to like the maximum, and then you basically have to do it just over and over again 3 times to get the maximum reward from the event. So you could just be spending all day doing that in one run, and that just seems like too much.
Way too much. I don't want to be there past the first boss. Anytime a shard's like, you got to overcharge a boss to complete this objective for the shard, I go in there, we overcharge the boss one time, and I abandon mission right after, because I'm like, I don't want to keep playing this.
Yeah, and you know, I'll kind of give them a little bit of leeway, because I didn't play too much or even look into the new item type that you get from that mode. There are new augments, and I don't think I saw any of them.
I haven't either, so I'm sure they're there, but I'm not getting them, and maybe I should play the mode more, but like, it's really...
You should overcharge the mode and play it 3 times.
Yeah.
All day.
I wish it was just more fun.
And ever. Yeah, exactly. It's like, it's not even... At no point was I like, okay, well, this isn't super fun, but it's worth it for the reward. I was like, this is not fun.
Yeah.
And so I didn't do it. So yeah, it didn't feel good. It was, you know, I think an okay idea. I kind of liked the like swapping between like the spirit realm and the, whatever they call it, the not spirit realm. You know, you have these enemy groups and half of them are phased out. So I thought that was interesting. But overall, yeah, the mode was underwhelming.
Yeah, in the main campaign, and we're so far beyond post campaign, like we're way beyond it, but like when you play through the campaign, there's a couple times where you press left on the D-pad, you go into the spirit realm, and you're able to see certain things. There's certain chests you have to unlock by finding 3 things to break. You can only see them in the spirit realm, and there's a couple things you can do through the spirit realm in the campaign, and then in the end game, the spirit realm isn't used. You don't press left to do anything unless you've run into those chests. But at this point in the game where we're at, I don't care what's in the chest, because I just want to beat the level to get the rewards for the end game purposes. So I do give them points for trying to find a way to incorporate spirit realm into end game by giving mode where there are enemies that are both in the real world and the spirit world at the same time, so you have to switch in between. It does feel a little encumbered, feels a little clunky to be fighting them like that. It feels more of a challenge. I think it'd be worth it too, but it does just seem like I'm just pressing it to switch in between enemy types to fight them. So I give them points for trying to incorporate it into something later in the game, but I don't think they nailed it, in my personal opinion.
Yeah, I definitely don't think that they nailed it either. Yeah, so that was a little bit disappointing. I did like the updates to the skill tree. One thing, as somebody who plays mostly ailment builds, I did enjoy that they gave you a way to consume ailments. Oh my goodness, consume ailments in the skill tree without having to awaken a cursed item, which was the only way, as far as I know, to do it before. Liked that. The new quick recovery skill where you can get up after you get knocked down, super cool.
Especially because unless you have a specific augment equipped, a lot of times you're getting knocked back constantly. And there's certain augments, but a specific one everyone uses that makes it so if you have over a certain amount of overhealth, which is essentially a shield you build up, you can't get knocked back. So you just take the damage, but you don't go flying. Whereas if you don't have that, you go flying. And it gets kind of fucking annoying a lot in combat. Obviously, you can dodge, block, all that stuff. But getting flung around and having to get back up slowly gets annoying. Luckily, I have the augment that makes it so I don't get flung. But I am glad they've added another option, which this game is very good in its combat about having a lot of different varieties of ways to go about combat. I'm glad they added that. It's a good addition.
Yeah. they buffed the timing attacks. And the one thing that I never played with before, like I was mentioning earlier, is the shields. And there's actually a ton of depth to how you can play with shields too, which I never even touched before. I never even played a breach build. So
Yeah, shield combat's a whole thing.
there's just like so much depth to how you can build characters. And now they've just kind of incentivized you in new ways to try those other things out. So I appreciated that about the update. Yeah, I think they did what they set out to do with this update, which is finally listen to everybody, all 12 of us who play this game, about what was needing to be improved upon. And I think if you haven't given this game a chance yet, or you gave it a chance one time and it seemed underwhelming, like I think now is the time to play it. They certainly have made a ton of improvements.
I think the game's in the best state it's been in so far, for sure. It feels like probably what it should have been outside the shards. I think that was just a good addition.
Yeah.
But a lot of the fine tuning they've done in the quality of life stuff outside the lag that I think is unacceptable is all very good. It's what it should have been, but it is here now, and so I can't complain now.
Yeah.
It's there, and I'm glad for it.
The lag is unfortunate. They did do a lot of bug fixes though, so that's good, I guess.
They just got to find a way to
Some
optimize that
improvements,
that menu system so it's not bogging down the console.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anything else?
I'm sure I could think of more things, but those are kind of my big thoughts.
Gotcha. Let's throw it over to Chevy so he can join the conversation a little bit here. I'm sure he'll be brief on his thoughts on this because I don't think he played as much as we did this month, but also he hasn't played as much as we do. So go ahead and tell us your impression, Chevy.
Okay. Well, my overall just like broad impressions are pretty much spot on to how I had said them in a prior episode. So I'm probably not going to go too deep into a lot of that. If you are curious, I would say go check that out. But as far as like checking out some of the more new stuff in the game, I did go ahead and I did I can't remember, spirit mode or whatever it's called.
Sparrow.
And to do one of my objectives to unlock a shard, which I think was to find and open 15 treasure chests, which was a pretty easy one to do. But I did spend some time it was super simple, but I did spend some time just kind of running around in I can't remember what element it was, either water or ice. I don't know anymore, but running around just kind of looking for a treasure chest, seeing the maps kind of the way they were, because I didn't experience a single player, so I didn't really get the big scale maps before. They're pretty large, it seems like. Though with my sense of direction, that was kind of a bad thing because I was getting lost like crazy.
Yeah, I believe that.
Fortunately, it did have the portal system so that you could gather elements, unlock portals, and get around a little easier that way. I think the spirit part was kind of tedious, to be honest, especially when traveling like on platforms and someone would be phased in and out or whatever. I do give them props for trying something. I just don't think it felt very good, especially, and then running into groups of enemies and having to do that as well. So
We agree.
largely though, I do feel the game feels mostly the same, but I don't have a in-depth knowledge. So any changes like they have made, I'm not going to really know because I don't really have a good memory of my previous experience outside of just I remember the game feeling okay for the most part. I think the game's a very okay game. So and a lot of that really hasn't changed. I did kind of go through try to refamiliarize myself with like the inventory management and stuff like that. It seemed pretty easy. I don't remember too much of it before, and I don't remember experiencing any lag either.
You got to get way more loot. It comes as you get
well,
money.
and that would make sense because it'd be like a sorting. It's a lot of information on essentially for a
Well,
game
because
to
for a
read.
long
So,
time, I would go through, and every time I do a mission, I would go over every single new item I got to get rid of the little yellow like indicators on them. And I stopped doing that a long time ago. And I think all of those, it's just a theory. I think those are bogging it down because I think that's data. It's all data, but I think that's added data to the pictures and stuff. That's with the mass amount of loot I do have. I think it's just bogging the system down, registering that every time I switch pages and stuff. I don't know what it is. I mean, I'm sure they could figure that out, but Counterplay can figure it out. But
well,
I
and
think I figured it out. I just don't know how to fix it.
quantities of items are going to be a thing anyways. Because
Mm-hmm.
even in something like a good example like Final Fantasy 14, they tried not to inventory management's like a huge problem in MMOs in general, but I have more knowledge obviously with 14.
Yeah.
And a lot of the storage options have to become these weird like creative things because every time it has to ask for the information for every item, you have this chance to slow everything down. So I suspect it's probably similar. Um, yeah, I didn't do a whole lot outside of that though.
I mean,
I know
at
they made
least
all
you
these
checked out the
changes.
shards in the spirit realm thing. That's pretty much the biggest thing I was worried about with you coming
Yeah.
back is not at least looking into the new stuff. Do you remember what Valor plate you were playing, like even visually? Probably don't.
It was like a moth or something like that.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Vertigo.
Do you remember what the shard was that you unlocked?
Something frost based. I don't
Okay.
100%
Yeah,
remember, to
I
be honest.
actually always thought that Valor plate was one of the cooler looking ones, but I never played them. And then I remember looking at their shards and thinking they were interesting, so it gives me a reason to actually maybe spend time playing that character.
Yeah. Um, yeah, I mean, really, the only other thing I have to say about it is while doing the map, I kept repeating for the treasure chest is when I initially did it, I was trying to do objectives and stuff like that, and I was playing by myself. I was not playing with people.
Mm.
Um, I found it quicker to just grab like 5 or 6 chests, abandon the mission, relaunch it, and do
Yeah.
that again until I unlock the shard. So,
Yeah, I've
um,
done similar when it came to unlocking shards. I would just bail
which
once I got what I needed, or if it's going to take me a while to do something, I'd be like, wow, let's restart this. Fuck it.
yeah, and that's just not ideally what you should be doing when doing this. So,
Yeah.
um, I think it was a little bit of a miss. I give him credit for trying something, 100%. I do think it's good for a game to keep, especially if you're trying to be like a service game. Though I don't know if that's necessarily their goal here.
I don't think
Um,
so.
to make changes and adjustments as your feedback comes in, but um, I mean otherwise it is very much so still the same game and feel. If you liked it before, and you'll probably like it now, though apparently with some of the changes it did break some builds, so I guess user beware in that regard. And then like Sarah said, if you were waiting, I mean this update is the state of the game at this point. It's a good time to check it out. So
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't expect your opinions to change a whole lot on this just because it's all stuff that I feel like the game should have had. And then the shards are just like a nice addition, but it's not big enough for like somebody who's not like regularly playing the game to go, holy shit about. But, yeah, I assumed it'd be pretty similar to how we had our conversation last time. I'm going to try and save people some time on this. When it comes to my initial thoughts on Godfall, because I expressed them on the PlayStation Plus episode on Plus Club. So make sure to check that out. It was in December if you want our full discussion on the Challenger Edition. My opinions are pretty much the exact same in those regards. I think, and I'll say them real quick so you don't have to go check that to know what I think about it. I think overall Godfall is a really fun game when it comes to combat, team play, and loot and building your characters. I think it falls short in the story department. I think the story's pretty lame. I think it's told not so well. I'm glad they've added additions to try and flesh that out. That's definitely good. I even noticed in the time I've been playing it this month that there's a lot of added dialogue all over the game that makes the world feel a little more. It feels less like you're just going into a level to get loot. It feels like the characters do actually exist, whereas before it felt a little more like a game, which it is, but they're trying to tell a story that they want you to care about, and it didn't feel like it before. So the story is very lackluster. I would never recommend this game based off its story or its campaign, but I think you should go through it. And then the added DLC after that, I forgot what it was called, but added a whole new realm. That told a better story. So they did improve since the original campaign. But again, I don't think the campaign really matters here. But if you want that story, it's there. But yeah, the real bread and butter of Godfall is its end game, and it is a very long-lasting end game that has a lot to offer if you are down for the grind. You can really improve your character quite a bit over time as you play this game, and that is the part I enjoy. I think the Valor plates they go from mediocre looking to more interesting looking. I don't think any of them really are like amazingly designed, but some of them are definitely cool looking. Some of them are cliche cool looking, like Hinterclaw. It's just a wolf. I don't think he's a bad design. I don't think he's an amazing design, but he's just like a cool wolf guy. But the moth character I think is cool looking. I forgot their name. And then there is a dude, I always forget his name, but he looks like a generic G.I. Joe villain out of a dollar store. So I think the character design is inconsistent, and hopefully if we get a Godfall 2, which I would like, I hope they would make improvements on that. But yeah, overall, I think Godfall as a whole, just kind of reiterating what I was talking about on the last time we reviewed this, is a good game that I put a lot of time into playing for its gameplay, and I think it's a really good roguelike. If you're playing the tower, I can play the tower over and over and over again, and I'm getting rewarded for it, and I'm leveling up, and I'm almost at level 300 playing through there, and I can keep doing it. I'm still not bored doing it because it's built with banes and boons in mind. So as you go through, you get random modifiers that make it a really good co-op roguelike. I said in the last episode, I would have bought just that tower mode as a standalone game if it was cheaper, because it's a lot of fun, just as what it is. So those are my general thoughts on Godfall. So going with all the new stuff they've added, I think this is a really good step in the right direction. I like that their last major update added, I wouldn't quite call it an expansion, but a good chunk of new content to give people some more stuff to chew on. Added Lightbringer, which was definitely a good addition. This one added, we were talking about, but Spirit Realm. I think it's kind of a misstep. I don't regret it existing, but it is kind of a misstep. But it did add a lot of quality of life stuff that I think was fucking crucial. It needed a lot of this stuff. They added a lot of stuff that it didn't need, and I'll take that too because I like it. I think they did a really good job with all of it. And I think the shards are great. I love that they added the shards because I was happy just leveling my character and, spending my ascension points on extended, essentially what would be in like Borderlands badass points, where you're just really inching more and more of those stats up further and further and further to become more powerful. I was happy doing that. But then they added these shards, and you have 4 shards per Valor plate. You can have 2 activated at once out of the 4. So if you have all 4, unlocked, you can kind of mix and match here with that, which I think is a lot of fun. And then those all level up 5 times a piece. And to do that, and you kind of went over this already, but like, you level up all 4 shards on one character, and then when you want to do level 2 on all the shards on that same character, it's like you need to unlock 4 shards from other Valor plates now. So it wants you to go play other Valor plates, and then when you do that, you can upgrade your main again another level per shard, and after that, it's like you need 8 more shards per Valor plate. So it really wants you to get out of your comfort zone and play the other Valor plates, which I think is cool. it kind of goes towards that whole end game mentality of like, you know, making it's just adding more stuff to do for the end game, which I think is definitely good if you're invested in it. If you're one of the 12 people that play it, we're all invested. We all want to level up more. And yeah, so the shards are definitely a good addition. It does still need a little bit of work. Like I said, with the lag, I think that needs fixed. I think that's like the most important thing they need to fix. Adding the filter system is a great addition, though. That should have been there before, but I'm not going to hold it against them. They added it, and it works just fine. But navigating the menus is atrocious. I fucking hate it. They need to fix that. Outside of that, though, I play this regularly enough that I would like more content as well. So hopefully they do what they've been doing and do these big patches. I'm really surprised they even did this one. So I hope we get a third one, adding new content, new modes, new cosmetics, all that stuff. Hopefully new weapons, new gear. That'd be great. I would love to see that. And because I'm such a fan of the tower, I mean, I could just play that fucking... I mean, I do. We play for hours. They added Exalted Tower, which is fucking Ascended Tower on crack. We did the first elevator, not even the first floor, and we did pretty good, but we got annihilated. So it's definitely meant for people who've been playing for a while. I feel like we could have definitely beaten it, but we were just experimenting. I wasn't playing my main, and
Same.
it was fucking chaos because there was like a lot of like mid bosses spawning right on the first fucking elevator on the way to the first floor. So I was like, okay, this is like definitely an upgrade.
I didn't even know that would be happening. Like the first time that you kind of get through it and unlock it, they just kind of throw you in there. I was like, hold on, I thought we were done.
Yeah.
So
it's interesting because before you could just keep going up the elevator, the ascended elevator after 30. You just keep going up, and now is an endpoint. You'll hit 30, and Seventh Sanctum is like, oh, you did it.
Wow.
And like it ends, and I'm like, oh, you can finish the ascended tower at 30. That's really interesting. But now there's the Exalted Tower, so you just go up that now, and it's way harder. It's a big jump. But you know, I'm sure the rewards are better, and the XP hopefully is a lot better. It's something I definitely want to explore further. So yeah, my thoughts on the game, it's hard to say because I'm kind of with you, Chevy. My opinions haven't changed on the game a whole lot. I was already a fan. I already enjoyed it. I was already critical of the campaign, and I still am. I'm glad they've fleshed out a little bit on the campaign, but I don't think they can fix the campaign. I don't think it was well written. I don't think they cared enough about it. I think they wanted the end game and the combat to be dope, and I think they nailed those because I like the combat a lot, and I think the end game's a lot of fun. These additions, I think the shard is the biggest thing when it comes to gameplay. And I am a fan of it. I like it. But a lot of it is quality of life stuff and little fun things like additional cosmetics, stuff like that, which I am definitely, because I am invested, a fan of. But I don't think this will overall change, you know, my grade a whole lot from what we talked about prior, which we'll get to when we do. But I don't want that to sound negative because I am a fan of what they have going on here, and I want more. So overall, it was a good update, and I'm happy for it. I would like to see another one. So overall, in April, I had a blast playing it. So yeah. Anything else you guys want to say before we jump into recommendations? All right. I'll let you guys recommend something because I think it's pretty obvious. Go ahead, Sarah.
If you like in-depth melee-based combat systems, I would recommend checking this one out because I think it's well done and there's a lot of depth there. If you like loot, there's a lot of loot here. I think if you have been critical of this game in the past, but maybe not invested time in it, like if it looked interesting at some point, I think now is the time to try it. So I would definitely recommend it in that case. The game is now available on Xbox and Steam, so if you play there, I recommend it.
Yeah, also it's worth mentioning if you do still have the Challenger Edition from December, all of this content's available on there apparently. I mean, I'm playing the full version, but In the patch notes, they said that you would have access to this content even with the Challenger Edition, and Chevy was able to confirm at least the shards and the Spirit Realm. So as for cosmetics, stuff like that, I don't know, because they did kind of hold back a lot of the cosmetics from people who were playing the Challenger Edition when we originally got it in December. So I don't know how they handled that, but yeah, if you have the Challenger Edition, you're curious about the new content, at least you can experience the bulk of it. So I think that's worth mentioning. Also, I'm just going to add with the recommendations. If you like cooperative games, online cooperative games, where you're getting loot and you're leveling up, this is an easy recommendation. Especially if you're looking for a melee game, there's not really a whole lot of them. They're all shooters, so definitely refreshing there. If you like games with long end game that you really grind out on, you're looking for something that you can put like a lot of fucking hours into, and you want to, maybe come home and throw a couple hours into it, or on the weekend fucking put a lot of time into it. It's a game that you can do that with. And I mean, for a lot of people, it could be like a forever game, because I feel like you could just come back and just keep, I mean, there's a shitload of progression in the game. I mean, I'm about to hit 300. I'm not even like halfway through it. I mean, it just goes on and on and on and on. At like 375, a whole new tier of skill upgrades are made available. So I mean, I still got like 100 levels to hit that. So there's a lot to do here. So if you like end game, you like that grind after you beat the game, it's definitely worth checking out. I'm going to loosely recommend, if you like Warframe, I would check this out as well. They are different in a lot of ways, but they're also the same in the sense that there are multiple different characters with different properties and different build types that you can pick from, level up, and upgrade your weapons, augments, and skills and all that shit as you play through. If you like, this is also a loose recommendation, not if you like fighting games, but if you like the combo aspect of fighting games, I think you might like this. It has a combat system that I have not really experienced in a whole lot of games that is very combo heavy and very, I mean, you can button mash for the most part, but if you really learn your skills and know what you're building into, you can be like a shield-based combat guy. You can be like a polarity build, which means you switch between weapons often. You can rampage, which means you're just building up a bar to essentially start doing a burst of damage and attack speed. There's sundering, where you can run in and slam on the ground, and not everybody has all these. Like, you got to spec into this stuff, and it really changes up how you fight. And whether you block and parry, or you just don't, like me, and you dodge. If you're crit based, there's a lot going on with the combat, and a lot of it is combo as well. Like, you have to pay attention to when you threw the shield, when it comes back, to hit the button to make an explosion happen, to parry, and then do this kind of attack, build up your I can't believe I forgot the name of it, when you soul shatter people. There's like health bar shields, and then you can build up soul shatter on people, and then you can do a heavy attack and explode them. There's a lot going on in the combat. You can button mash, but later on you're not going to be able to. You need to pay attention to the combat. This is a game you got to be present in when you fight. And yeah, if that sounds interesting to you, you want to be a little more involved in your melee combat, I would heavily recommend it to you, because I don't think there's a lot of games out there that offer that. So and this is cooperative, so that's cool. Outside of that, can't really recommend it to much. I can't do an everyone, because I've seen people's reactions to this game on Reddit, and it's not for everybody. But I think some more people should give it a shot for sure. Chevy, you have anything to add to that?
I think so.
All right. Well, Chevy, go ahead and grade it.
Okay. I mean, my opinion is pretty much the same as last time. I do appreciate that they've added things, and I do think for people who are fans or people who are coming into it, giving it a chance for the first time, they've done mostly good with that. The game mode's whatever, but I wouldn't say it's bad. Yeah, so I'd give it a B minus. It's decent enough outside of my personal, taste. So.
Yeah, fair. I'm gonna pretty much echo what you're saying. I am a fan of the game, as you guys can tell. I no playing about it. I'm passionate about certain parts of it. Like it a lot. I think the campaign is not good. So I'm gonna stick with my A minus, which is already very high. The update did not edge me to an A. I don't know if I can get to an A with this game for me personally, just because the things I love about it are great, but there's not like an attachment to characters, story, music, anything like that. It is purely gameplay that I really love, but I think it is awesome. I think it is very individual in what it does offer when it offers the best of itself. It's really good. So A-, sticking with it. It's a strong A-. The update definitely emboldened my decision on keeping the A-. It's fun. It's a blast. Sarah.
I am. I'm trying to be realistic here with my grading because I really, really like this game for a lot of reasons. And you know,
Just give it A+, dude.
The big thing about that is that I think it's really fun, and I really, really love the combat system. And it's, like you were saying, something that you're not getting in a lot of places. I really love the character building. But, you know, I would be being dishonest if I didn't acknowledge that the game has its flaws and that the game really isn't for everybody. So I think that this update really was exactly what they wanted it to be. I think if you already liked the game, you probably like it more, but I'm not sure that it was enough to bring people who weren't already at least interested to the game if they haven't already played it. I think I'm also going to give it an A-, because I mean, like I said, I can't say that the game doesn't have flaws. I just really like this game, like, despite them, and I think that it does enough really, really well in a unique way that I don't mind overlooking them.
Yeah. Two things I want to add to that, because I mean, we're both saying A- for the same reasons, I think. I think if the campaign and story and characters were a little more investing, I think I could see my grade going higher. But because they worried more about the gameplay and the combat, which I would prefer them do that over the story, we didn't get much in that department. It does feel flat. It does feel like after you beat the campaign, they forget about it. So yeah, it'd be nice if they did a better job on that. But also, when I'm playing this with you and Josh, and it's just like, you know, grinding and playing, we're all bullshitting, maybe having a drink or whatever, the game is a fucking blast. It's a really fun game to play with friends. And so, yeah, it's the parts that are good, but the parts that are not good are just like blatantly, easily like, yeah, that could be fucking better. So,
yeah.
Yeah.
The game is still buggy.
Yeah.
Like, they've made bug fixes, and it's hard to overlook getting to floor 16 in the Ascended Tower of Trials, and suddenly you're stuck on a floor because it says you have to defeat all the enemies and no more
And
enemies.
one fell through the floor.
Yeah, like, there's no enemies, and so you're stuck there, and the only option is to quit. And it's happened to me so many times. I don't know if, like, with you and Josh, but so many times with randos, and it's so frustrating to, you know, have a group that's doing well, like, okay, we're gonna get this, and then, like, all right, I guess we're quitting. I guess I'll run into you again because you're one of the 12 of us.
Yeah, real quick, before we end this, counterplay if you're watching this, because we are 2 of the 12 people who play your game. So listen to us. We're your fucking community. Fix the lag in the menus. It needs to happen. Fix enemy types falling through the floor, because it sucks to invest like an hour and a half into a run and then you have to just quit and you don't get the full rewards. And it's just like, well, that fucking sucks. Fix, because I encountered it yesterday, me flying. Don't make me fly, because I can't help when they're fighting on the ground.
That sliding bug?
The sliding bug. There's a lot of weird bugs that are happening. I think that was all server shit. Also, fix button input on chests, boons, and elevators. Because there's a thing where if I'm opening a chest or activating a boon and somebody else is also doing it, it'll cancel one of us out, which is really annoying. Also, when I'm trying to pick what boon I want and somebody else is also picking their boon, it will start
like
moving my shit around sometimes. So that's really fucking weird. And One elevator doesn't even show you that you're able to activate it, so you just have to like look at it correctly and kind of guess it out. And you'll see the animation when you press the button, but it doesn't tell you. So there's some things you guys got to fix, but otherwise we just praise the game mostly. So anything else? All right. Well, let us know in the comments what you guys think of Godfall, the whole game. If you got a chance to play that, play the Challenger Edition, join the conversation, of course. And yeah, what do you like about it? What don't you like about it? What are some things you'd like to see them add or fix or maybe make or put into the game to make you more interested? And maybe you're one of those people who look at the game and you're like, I'm not really into it. What would they have to do to make you interested in it? That'd be interesting to talk about. And if you do like it, what do you like about it? What would you like to see improved? What would you like to see added? I want new realms, new modes, new loot, new content.
Crossplay.
Crossplay is crucial too.
Huge, dude.
There's not many of us, so let us play together.
Let us play together.
Yeah. Xbox is like the new frontier. Let us play with Xbox. And yeah, let me know everything you're thinking about in the comments below when it comes to Godfall.
If you're one of the 12.
Yeah.
Add me, bro.
As always, thank you for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe if you enjoy this episode. Make sure to check out our other episodes. Check us out on our streams and socials, links down below. Check out our Discord, link down below. You can talk to us anytime, all time. We're on iTunes, Spotify, and other podcast platforms if you prefer to listen to us in audio form. And we have a Patreon if you like to support the channel more than liking, commenting, sharing, and subscribing if you're brand new. And yeah, thank you, Sarah, for joining and having this conversation and getting your opinions out on Godfall. Thank you, Chevy, for joining and discussing your unchanging opinion on Godfall. And thank you guys
Thanks
for
playing
watching.
it, Chevy.
And until the next episode, have a good one and take it easy.